Hey my friend, in this video I'm going to show you how to get started and how to use the TC Electronic Ditto X4 as your main looper on your pedal board. I am a long-time user of the Boomerang looper, which I also made a full demo, but before that I was using the Ditto X4, and those are the two that I recommend the most if you want to get into guitar looping. So just before getting started, I have to mention that there are some switches at the back of the pedal where it alters the functions a little bit to have more flexibility, but for now they are at the default position of being down, and we will explore them further towards the end of the video. So I suggest that you put all the first three knobs to the right so that you get full volume on both of the loops, and then the basic functions, how to record. It's super straightforward. You tap once to start playing and start the loop, and then you tap another time to close the loop. If you have reverb on your tone like me, I strongly suggest that you play once before starting recording, because it's gonna record the tail of the reverb ringing underneath your sound, and it's gonna help you get more seamless loops. So if I play something once first, then record, and close, right? So now it's playing back and it's gonna be more seamless because the reverb is ringing underneath, right? If I want to overdub, I can tap once again, and now the LED turns from green to red. It means that we are in overdub mode, and I can overdub indefinitely if I want. I could add something else, like a big swell after that. Something like this. And if I don't want to overdub anymore, I can press again and we are in playback mode. If I want to stop, I can use the stop button right here, and it's going to end at the end of the cycle. So it ends at the end of the cycle of my loop. If I want to end instantly, I can do two quick presses instead, right? So like this. Right, two quick presses, and it ends right away. I have to mention that the stop button is going to affect both loops. So if you had two loops playing at the same time and you do two clicks like this, it's going to end and stop both loops at the same time. So if you have two loops playing, you could do the little tap, two quick presses on one loop individually to end this one only. So if this one is playing, and I want to end only this one, I can double tap only this one, and loop 2 would still be playing in that case right here. Then you can do the undo function. So in that case, you just have to do a press and hold, and it's going to remove the last overdub that you have recorded on top of this one. So I press once to play. Now it removed the little swell, the little pad that I just played, and if I want to put it on again, I have to hold, and it's gonna redo the last overdub. Like this. Right? So double tap to stop. So you see, the undo and redo is not only for when you make a mistake, right? It could be used creatively. Now I used it to remove the pad out of my songs, and it could be something that you put in the song structure of your looping performance itself, because for me, when I record in my studio, if I make a big mistake, I'm just gonna redo the track from scratch, right? I don't want to have my official song having a big mistake in it, right? So I would use the undo and redo function creatively like this to remove the pad or remove the melody and put it back in later in the song, right? Because it only has two loops. Usually I like to use 3 loops so that I can mute them individually, but you could use this technique to undo and redo the overdubs like these and get exactly the same results. defaults, right? So now we haven't talked about erasing. Erasing is gonna be by holding the stop switch for 3 seconds. And then it's gonna blink red and everything is gonna be erased. Alternatively, if you want to erase only one track, so let's say that I have this playing, then I can do 2 quick presses and hold. And now it's gonna erase it. You didn't see the red light underneath my shoe, but it's the same principle than the stop right here. Once again, the stop is gonna affect both loops. So if you wanna stop both, you do 2 quick presses. And if you wanna erase both, you have to hold the stop button. It's gonna erase both. And if you want to erase one only, it's 2 taps with a hold on it. So that's all the basic functions right here. Then you have to look at the play style, right? So you have the serial mode with the switch right here and the sync mode. The serial mode means one at a time, right? So loop 1 plays, but never at the same time than loop 2. So it's when you want to play a kind of verse and then chorus type of situation right here. So loop 1, always playing before. And then if I press on the loop 2, it's going to be triggered to record after it. And then I can trigger the first one to reappear. And I can go back and forth like this. I can press on the second, and it's gonna play. If you press right on time, it's gonna play like when you press on it. But if you press before the timing, it's just gonna be triggered to go on the next cycle. Like this. And then you can overdub, you can do anything you want with them, and then we can start talking about the loop knob. So this controls the volume. If I want to lower the volume of this one, or fade it out manually, I can do that like this. And then if I trigger this one to play, it's going to be full volume. And then I can play with the volume also of this one. Then I'm gonna stop both like these with a 2 click like this. So that's the serial mode, one after another. You can overdub as much as you want on both of them, but it's one at a time. And then we're gonna take a look at the sync mode by flipping the switch down like this. And now we can play both loops simultaneously in a synchronized fashion. So you can start recording on loop 1 and then press on loop 2 immediately after, and it's gonna be synchronized with the other one. You can even play multiples of the length of the first loop that you've played. So if this one was 4 bars, for example, you could play 8 bars on this one, or 16 bars, or any multiple. So I'm gonna take the same little song idea. I'm gonna play first. So I record on first. And then directly on the second, then I click again and it's gonna follow. So now they are synchronized, but this one has more bars on it. It is a multiple of the length of this one. It's not the same chords. Right? And then you can overdub individually on them if you want. You can play with the volume of just this one if you want. Or the other one. And stop them all at once. So it's exactly the same principle, but now you have both loops playing at the same time. You could play them in an unsynchronized fashion, and we're gonna see that with the little dip switches towards the end of the video. But in a nutshell, that's the synchronized mode, the sync mode. So I'm gonna press and hold on stop to erase them, right? Then we have the decay function. By default, if you play it, you put it all the way to the right, the loops are going to repeat indefinitely. If you put it more towards the left at noon or even more than that, it means that each time you're going to overdub on top of your loop, the oldest layer is going to slowly decay and slowly fade out, and it's going to be an ever evolving loop that always changes as long as you add new overdubs on it. So if I do something like this, and then I click overdub, so you're hearing the first layer is not even heard anymore. And everything just slowly fades out. So you can like improvise in your key or your scale in your song, and it's gonna evolve as it goes like these. And you can really fine tune how long or how fast it decays with the knob right here. I'm gonna erase this loop right here by holding stop. So you can see most of the times they're going to put it all the way to the right, but in some cases you might want to experiment with the decay knob right here. Then you have the effects that you can apply. You have 7 effects right here. So once again, I'm going to record a little loop like this. Right, so you have reverse. So if you put it here and you click on effects, and you can click again to stop the reverse, half is going to pitch it half down. You can undo it. Once is that it's going to end the loop after one press. I guess this is not the best effect, but it could be useful to make the song. Right? So it just plays once, so I'm gonna play it again. Tape stop, it just it's gonna end it, but with a little like this, right? Then there is the fade. So it's gonna be an automatic fade out of about 5 seconds. Right? To automatically fade out your song. And if you do it again, it's going to fade it in for 5 seconds also. Oh, I don't know what happened here, but I think the tape stop just like messed up with the bit depth. Like this. And then there's double speed. And then the hold, you can do something like this. Just a hold switch like this. So that's all the effects that you can apply. I believe that all the effects are going to be applied to both loops if you play both at the same time. So the effects is going to be applied to everything all the time, and you can do multiple effects, right? So I could record something, once again, if I do something quick. I could do reverse and double. So you can always apply multiple effects at the same time if you want. Then there's a record function. So you can really record a backing track that's always going to be stored in the pedal. And by the way, when you make a loop on loop 1 or loop 2, if you turn off the pedal and turn it on again, you will get the same loop again on the pedal. So if I do something like... And then let's say I'm just gonna stop it, and then I power off the pedal and power it back on. So now it's gonna take a few seconds. It's gonna be the orange LEDs like these before it powers back in, and you will see that the loop that I have recorded is here. I was scared for 1 second, but it is here. Even if I powered off the pedal, it is still here. Maybe you have to yeah, to move the volume a little bit so that it appears, but it's still here. So you can still store your loop, or like if you're working on something and you want to get back to it the next day, it's still gonna be here. But if you want it to be permanently stored in the pedal, you can take what you have right here and just do a little flick to the top like this, and then you're gonna have a little red LED blinking right here. So if I stop it, and then it's gonna be blinking all the time because you have your backing track stored permanently on that loop right here, right? So if I click on it, now the reason why it is lower is that you can control the volume of the backing track separately than what you will record on top. So if I hold the switch downwards like this, I can fine-tune the volume of the backing track. So I could have my backing track halfway through like this, and then I could record overdubs at twice the volume on top if I want, for example. And then when I play with the volume, it's gonna be proportional. Like the volume of the backing track is always gonna be at the same place compared to your overdub. So it's always gonna be half the volume because I had it at noon, and the rest all the way up wherever I do that. So there are many things that you can do with this principle right here to store a backing track. You could even add a backing track outside of the pedal, use the USB function and drag, I don't know, your drum beat or something like this, your whole backing track into the pedal and play it, because it is stored. So it's not only something that you play and record on the pedal, but it could be something external. And if you want to delete it, you have to hold it upwards like this for about 3 seconds. And then it's gone. So you can use the record and store functions also. And then I said there are some switches on the back of the pedal where the cables are that give you even more options and flexibility. So the first switch is to decide what is the order when you record. So when the switch is down, it's gonna be record, play, and overdub, which is what we've done in the past, right, in this demo. I click once, I close the loop, and then I have to click another time to get in overdub mode. But when the switch is up, then the order is record, overdub, and play. So it's if you want to overdub faster and get a faster flow so that you don't have to click again to overdub, this is really handy. So for example, if I play the same chords, when I close the loop, it's gonna overdub instantly. And then I have to decide to go out of the overdub mode. Right? So it's really handy if you want to loop faster and like have the song move faster by recording overdubs right away. The second switch only applies to sync mode only, and it's when it's in the down position, it means that the overdub is going to start immediately if you want to overdub while in sync mode. And if the switch is up, which I am right now, the overdub is going to start at the end of the loop only. So I'm going to give you an example. So now, if I want to overdub on loop 2, and I click to overdub, it's not overdubbing yet. Now it is at the end, right? So I'm gonna end it. So I could play, and then trigger the overdub. I don't know what's the real, like, I don't know what's the situation where it's better to do that than overdub right away, but it's still what this switch is doing. Maybe you could tell me in the comment section what's the usefulness of overdubbing only at the beginning of the next cycle instead of right away. The third switch has two different purposes. When you are in serial mode and the switch is down, it means that you're going to record the second loop at the end of the first one only, and when the switch is up, it's going to record the second loop immediately, right? So now my switch is up, and if I go back into serial mode and I want to play two different parts one after another, usually I played this one, and then when I wanted to play the second one, it's going to be triggered to record at the end of the cycle only, but now I can do it whenever I want. So I can do... right? But instead of doing it at the end of the cycle, I could do it and go right to the next one. We don't have to wait for the cycles to end, right? So it could be really, really handy if you don't want to wait. Like if you want to like play the second loop in the middle after 2 bars instead of 4, or there are many things you could do with that. And then on the serial mode, so I'm gonna erase that. And then on the sync mode, what is really cool is that when the switch is down, the two loops are synchronized together. But when the switch is up, the loops are unsynchronized, right? So if you're playing more ambient music like I do, or more experimental things, you don't need both to be synchronized. So for example, I could have like a drone ambient guitar effect on the first one like this. And then I could play like little volume swells on the second one. And then you're gonna see the lights blinking. They're not gonna be at the same time. Oh, that one blinked after, but not synchronized because they are not the same length, right? So now this one isn't on a new cycle on this one. And when you do something like this, so now I haven't played before recording, so the loops were not seamless. I'm not following my own examples here, but it's to make the video go faster. But then you can have like some random encounters of notes, and the notes that clash together because the loops are not exactly at the same length. So it's really, really cool. And the fourth switch at the back is just to decide between true bypass or buffered bypass for the pedal. If you don't know how to do it, you can click on the upper card, and I have a lesson explaining really in detail what's the difference between true bypass and buffered bypass. If you want to learn how to make ambient guitar music like I've been playing in this demo, the little drones I've been playing right here, right? How to make those effects with reverbs and delays and then layer them in a looper like this one to create your own ambient guitar songs, you can check out my free mini course. It's the first link in the description box below. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Ambient Guitar. I'm going to show you what kind of pedals you need on any budget, and then I'm going to show you how to set up your clean tone on your amps, how to make swells and drone ambient guitar effects with your reverbs and delays, and then how to layer and loop them to get great results so that you can use your Ditto X4 at its full potential. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, check out my free course in the description box below, and subscribe if you want more on my channel. Until next time, au revoir.